Hey guys, Omerko here, a self-taught web developer. Through this video we will take a look into input component from Angular material, so you will see how can you use that component. Before we start with this input component, make sure to visit my Omerko website. There also make sure to sign up for my newsletter, and that way you will get these amazing deals for all of my Udemy courses. Also here, if you visit my website, you will find a link to all of my tutorials and all of my courses on SKILLSHARE and on Udemy as well. As usual, we will now generate the specific component for our input component from Angular material. To do that, I will use a command of ng, g for generate, c for component, and I will generate this component into components/input. Once we generate our component, we can go into app.component.html file, and first of all here I will hide this icon component from the last video. If you wish to watch this video, you will have a link down in the description of this one. Now, after this icon component, I will first of all set the comment of input for input component, and here I will use my input component that I just generated, which is app input element. Here I will also put ending comment, which is end of input. Usually for all Angular material components we need to also import a proper module to use that component, but for the input component that is not the case, because now as I'm currently in my app.module.ts file, here you can see this import for math, where it is here, it is math input module, which means that we already have this module imported. We imported this module when we work with autocomplete component from Angular material, and if you wish to watch that video, you will have a link down in the description of this one as well. So by this we can immediately start working on our markup for our inputs. So here I will go into components, open up my input and open up the HTML file for that. In this file, first of all, I will create the div and I will set the style for my div to be text align center, and also I will set margin on the top to be 50 pixels so we could put our input fields in the middle of our screen. Usually when we create some kind of input fields, we create those inside of some form. So here I will create the form. There is no need for any action, and inside of this form I will now create the div. This div will just wrap my input component, and to create the input component itself we use an element called math form field, which presents a form field or an input field inside of our form. To this math form field we could pass a attribute of appearance, and I will set this to fill, which will just use the specific styling of material for this form field. Also, we are able to pass math label, which is just the normal label in HTML, but it is more styled and animated. Here I will set the text for my label to be your name, and after the label itself we are able to pass an input field. So there is no math input, we can just pass input field here. We can use a type of text here, but that is not important because we can pass simply math input attribute here, which will set the proper styling and also proper type for our input. And also here we can, for example, set the placeholder, which can say enter your name, because here we are asking for a person's name. And that's pretty much it for this input field. Now with these form fields we don't need just to create inputs inside. Let me copy entire div and paste it down below. Here I will keep my math form field with appearance of fill. My math label won't say your name but it will say message. And instead of the input field I will use a text area here, which is just the normal HTML text area. I will remove all of these attributes. I will use attribute of math input, which is the same attribute that we can use for our input fields. And also, as we use the placeholder on our input, I will use a one for my leave a message. And that's pretty much it. Now we can visit our browser, and here we should see our input field and also a text area field well wrapped with this material design. Next to this design, if we would click on one of those input fields, where this text area, for example, we can see that the label itself is floating around, so there is also that kind of animation of material. So as we work with input component from Angular material, you already know probably that in HTML, in the input of HTML, we can pass many different types. For example, we could have a text type. Well, all of those types will also be supported in Angular material. So we can have a text input, we could select the specific date with our input, we could set our type to be datetime local, we could select a specific month, a week, also the time itself in hours, minutes. Next to the time, we could just pass these simple values like numbers, also a password. We could set our type of input field to be a search field. So we could search for something, we could ask a user to leave their telephone number, their email. If we have an option to use some kind of color, there is also a color input field that we can use. We can also set the specific URL, and that should be it. So you can see that all of the input field types are also supported in material, and they will also hold material design. So by that we are finished up with this video. So if you have any questions, make sure to comment those down below, as I'm posting a new content weekly. Also, before you go, make sure to visit my website, where you can also sign up for my newsletter and that way get these amazing deals for my Udemy courses. On my website you can also find all of my tutorials and also all of my courses that I have on SKILLSHARE and Udemy as well. But this will be all, guys. Thank you all for watching. If you liked what you saw, please click like and subscribe, as I'm posting new content weekly. Thank you once again, and I will see you in my next video. Bye bye.